The Alaska State Poetry Out Loud competition is made possible by the Alaska State Council on the Arts, the Juneau Arts and Humanities Council, the National Endowment for the Arts, and the Poetry Foundation.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 2025 Poetry Out Loud competition. My name is Phil. Thank you, Boston, for initiating that. My name's Phil Hibshin. I'm the Executive Director of the Juneau Arts and Humanities Council. The Juneau Arts and Humanities Council resides on the unceded territories of the Occoquan on Linkit Ani, colonially known as Juneau, Alaska. We acknowledge that the Linkit peoples have been stewards of this land on which we work since time immemorial and are grateful for that stewardship and incredible care. To foster a strong, healthy, and purposeful arts community, we commit to celebrating diverse expression, listening to lessons from the past, and creating access and opportunities which carry us into the future. Through our partnership with the Alaska State Council on the Arts, the National Endowment for the Arts, the Poetry Foundation, KTOO, and all of the schools and families we've collaborated with across the state, I'm so excited that we're able to bring you to the 18th annual iteration of Poetry Out Loud. Speaking out matters now more than ever. In a time of extreme political polarization and silenced perspectives, poetry and spoken word offer a powerful medium for young people to find their authentic voice and challenge divisive narratives. The students here today have done something remarkable. They've learned to analyze intricate language, to understand nuanced perspectives, and to articulate challenging ideas with confidence and clarity. They are learning the critical art of thoughtful, empathetic communication. As we listen to these voices from across Alaska, we're witnessing something profound. Young people developing the courage to portray complex emotions and to stand firmly in their own perspectives. These are not just performance skills, these are democratic skills. The ability to communicate with compassion, intelligence, and integrity is revolutionary. Poetry Out Loud isn't just a competition, it's a training ground for meaningful civic participation. These students are learning that their voices matter. They're discovering that words have power. They're developing the confidence to speak authentically and to listen deeply. Congratulations to each of you for taking this step towards becoming powerful, compassionate communicators in our world. It's now my privilege to introduce Alaska State Representative Sarah Hannon. I know she places an equal amount of importance and focus on programs like these in her work, and it's my honor to share the stage with her tonight to welcome you all. So, Sarah.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here with you tonight, to be with young, bold minds. I have some words about poetry, but I am supposed to formally thank you for coming to the capital city, for bringing some of your family and friends. If this is your first trip here, it doesn't always rain, but it usually does. We have a lot of things to offer in an isolated town, but a thriving arts community. So thank you for contributing to that. I know our players who are from Skagway and Petersburg know we also have a Costco, and we have a swimming pool that's almost a water park. Doubt that either of those fit in your schedules. Today on the legislative floor, on the House floor, I talked a little bit about it's Women's History Month. And I wanted to share with them, and I want to share with you, an Alaskan civil libertarian who was a 16-year-old Inupiat young woman. Her name was Alberta Shank Adams. In 1943, she lived in segregated, Jim Crow segregated Alaska in Nome and worked at the movie theater where she was denied seating next to her peers. It was a segregated movie theater. She protested that and was fired. But Alberta did not take that calmly. She escalated it, got a white date, returned to the theater. The theater was called the Dream Theater, was seated with her date, and was arrested and imprisoned overnight because she refused and told her father to certainly not pay her bail and release her. She was making a statement. Upon release from jail the next morning, where some of the proper business owners thought they would rally against her and support the business, instead, it was the opposite effect. The community of Nome held up the 16-year-old passionate civil rights activist, saying, "I have the right to be treated the same as everyone else." She then wrote a letter to the territorial governor, Ernest Greening, who had been governor when our first attempt at passing a Civil Rights Act in Alaska had failed. Her letter compelled him to reintroduce the Civil Rights Act that most Alaskans know about and give full credit to Elizabeth Paradovich, who led the charge and organized many folks. But we never should forget that Alberta Shank Adams, a 16-year-old Inupiat woman, played a critical piece in ending Jim Crow laws and segregation in Alaska by inspiring a community and a governor, an older activist, to make sure that their message was carried, that all Alaskans should be treated the same under law. Now with that, I would like to turn to poetry. It is the linguistic art of using language to promote imagination, invoke feelings, give insight, and provide an emotional response. Poets choose their words for their meaning, their sound, their rhythm, and their pace. Poetry is meant to be read, recited, and shared. I anticipate that your performances here tonight will lead us to laugh, to cry, to reflect, and to find optimism for the future by experiencing your passion for poetry presented as a spoken word. With that, I wish you all the best, and may you win all of our hearts as you compete with your passion.
We now have a short video message from Alaska State Council on the Arts Chair Ben Brown, who was not able to join us today, but took time out of his travel schedule to send something in on his phone. So.
Hello, I'm Benjamin Brown, Chairman of the Alaska State Council on the Arts, and I'm sorry I can't be there in person with you today for the Poetry Out Loud statewide finals, but I'm very grateful to our partners at KTOO and the Juneau Arts and Humanities Council for once again making this important annual event happen. It's one of the best programs we have at the Alaska State Council on the Arts, and it lifts up so many great young Alaskans who learn poems and then share them with others. So I wish you all the very best in your recitations today, and I'm very excited to see who the winner is after the competition, and that person will of course be going on to our nation's capital to compete in the national finals. It's an exciting competition, and again, I wish you all the best on behalf of the Alaska State Council on the Arts.
Thank you, Ben Brown. Safe travels. I'm now happy to introduce you to your MC for the evening. Boston Christopher is the producer and host of Juneau Afternoon on KTOO, Juneau's public media station. With a background in performance, Boston is known to Alaska theater audiences for his work at Perseverance Theater, including Of Mice and Men, Treasure Island, Seminar, The Odd Couple, and An Iliad. Last summer, he was seen as Mrs. Bennett in Theater Alaska's Pride and Prejudice. He was very good. And he was recently heard as Orson Welles in Juneau Ghostlight Theater's radio play, The War of the Worlds. And although he never had the opportunity to participate in Poetry Out Loud, he was the Alaska State High School champion in debate. So he's holding on to those laurels.
Thank you so much. Gunath Cheesh, Hatyayadi, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to see all of you in the audience tonight and all of those watching online. And thanks to our state finalists for being here on Tlingit Ani tonight. Absolutely. So first we're going to go over the rules of the competition, and then we'll get right into round one. So the judges tonight are Linda Buckley, Sandy Fortier, Lorelei Ivanoff, Kevin Myers, and Davina Cole Drones. And they are all in the back there on the back panel. Davina is our accuracy judge, and the other judges are our evaluating judges. The scorekeepers this evening are Morgan Duffseth and Tay Anderson Johnson, and they are in the corner over there. Okay, so let's talk about these rules. Evaluation. These are the official rules from the Poetry Out Loud national competition. Students must be judged according to the Poetry Out Loud evaluation criteria from the 2024-2025 Teacher's Guide. State and national finals consist of 3 rounds of competition. Students may only recite 1 poem in each round. All poems must be selected from the Poetry Out Loud print or online anthology, which is updated every summer. At the state and national finals, students must have 3 poems prepared. 1 must be 25 lines or fewer. 1 must be written before the 20th century. 1 poem may be used to meet both criteria and may be the student's 3rd poem. Competition organizers may not dictate poem order. So that means the students selected the order for themselves, which is fantastic. The judging. Rankings are based solely on evaluation sheets submitted by judges. Judges should not convene to discuss performances during the competition, so no kibitzing in the back. Judges may not reconsider their scores after they are submitted, so they are going to think carefully, and the judges' decisions are final. The scoring is cumulative, so the scores from all the rounds will be added together to determine the winner. Now, in the unfortunate event of a tie, the tied student with the highest overall performance score should win. If that also results in a tie, they will look to the highest accuracy score. If scores remain tied again, they will consider having students pick 1 poem to recite again as a separate score to break that tie. Another important point, the students must recite their poem from memory, and props cannot be used, and the students may also not wear costumes during their recitations. Okay, so let's begin. Round 1. Julia Wang is a homeschooled junior living in Fairbanks, Alaska. Having participated in Poetry Out Loud last year, she is grateful and excited to have another chance to recite again. She loves to read and write and would happily do it all day if she didn't have so much homework. She would like to thank her family and her church for their support in this journey. They also asked the questions of the students of a couple of things, like what kind of poem they would be and what kind of poem they would write if they had the opportunity. Julia would like to be a free verse poem because those are the poems she likes to write, and they allow her to be free with what she writes. Also, Julia's favorite poet is currently Lee Young Lee, and his lyrical, ethereal poetry is inspiring to her. If there was only 1 poem she could write, it would be about the beautiful little things of life that call to mind the truth. Julia Wang of Fairbanks Best Home School.
A Song, Lying is an Occupation, by Letitia Pilkington. Lying is an occupation, used by all who mean to rise. Politicians owe their station, but to well-concerted lies. These to lovers give assistance to ensnare the fair one's heart, and the virgin's best resistance yields to this commanding art. Study this superior science. Would you rise in church or state? Bid to truth a bold defiance. 'Tis the practice of the great.
Raiden is representing Homer High School and is totally psyched to be here.
Are you sure it's the right order? I apologize.
Oh, I'm sorry. You are correct. Thank you. I appreciate that. He's like, I am not ready yet. Let's go with Mina Yee, who is a sophomore from Skagway High School. This is their third year attending Poetry Out Loud, and it has been an amazing creative outlet for them. Mina is part of Skagway's speech and debate team, right on, and they just got back from their state competition in Anchorage. They strongly believe that using speech and poetry is the best way to communicate to people about their beliefs and common interests. Mina is hoping to graduate college as a human rights lawyer and begin a career fighting for minority rights around the country. If Mina were a poem, they would be a villanelle because it connects flowing ideas together in a beautiful and majestic manner. Their favorite poet is Sylvia Plath because of her dark but real ideas on overwhelm and exhaustion in a person's life. Totally feel you on that, Mina. Following that theme, were Mina to write one poem for the world, the message would be that it's okay to not be okay. Mina Yee of Skagway School.
Broadcast rights for this poem have not been granted for this event.
Sheesh. Raiden is representing Homer High School and is totally psyched to be here. He grew up performing in local community theater and loves any sort of public speaking event. Raiden has competed in plenty of public speaking events across the state through drama, debate, and forensics, even representing Alaska in the 2024 National Speech and Debate Tournament. Raiden loves poetry, more specifically haikus. My family is from Okinawa, so I grew up with a lot of Japanese art and culture in my home, says Raiden. Part of that culture was being read and taught how to write haikus from a very young age. Raiden states that he writes them whenever he's bored. I usually write them during downtime at work or when I need to try to stay awake through some mind-numbing lecture. Better than doom-scrolling Instagram reels, he says. Raiden is going to Western Washington University in Bellingham to study performing arts, hoping to be able to do voice work professionally. If he were a poem, Raiden shared, I would be a really long, silly poem, written by Lewis Carroll, probably The Walrus and the Carpenter. Hands down, Shel Silverstein is Raiden's favorite poet. Were he to write one poem for the world, Raiden said he would, quote, probably write about my love for the wonderful experience that is being able to live. Raiden Skorsky O'Donnell of Homer High School.
Broadcast rights for this poem have not been granted for this event.
Grace Nicholson is a sophomore with the IDEA homeschool program. This past summer, she recently moved from the big city of Anchorage to Willow. She has a passion for piano and reading lots of books, averaging about a book a day. She hears it keeps the bookworms away. Grace became interested in poetry when joining a small homeschool poetry group. Even though she was too young to participate in the Poetry Out Loud at 11 years old, she took the initiative to memorize the first 6 stanzas of The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe, just for the pure joy of it. Grace is no stranger to the stage. She has played the lead character Junie B. Jones with Alaska Theater of Youth and other performances within her church. She has competed in Alaska State Piano Competition the last 2 years. First year taking honorable mention, and last year earning second place performing Nocturne by her favorite composer, Chopin. She has been part of jazz ensembles, youth group worship, piano recitals, and just stopping by the hospital to brighten passerbys' spirits with her piano talent. She is in the middle of revising her first adventure novel, showcasing her imagination. This is her second year participating in Poetry Out Loud and is thankful for the opportunity. After graduation, Grace's dream is to become a writer and one day a homeschool mom. If Grace were a poem, she would be an epic poem, performing an extraordinary deed. Her favorite poet is Shel Silverstein, for his writings are completely nonsensical, ornery, and hilarious while adding a special twist to the ordinary. If Grace wrote a poem for the world, it would be about elves and mythical creatures surviving in modern day times. Grace Nicholson of IDEA Homeschool.
Nothing Gold Can Stay by Robert Frost. Nature's first green is gold, her hardest hue to hold. Her early leaves a flower, but only so an hour. Then leaf subsides to leaf. So Eden sank in grief. So dawn goes down today. Nothing gold can stay.
Jada has always loved reading and writing. Her passion for literature became even stronger at North Pole High School. She is now a senior and has been attending North Pole High School since freshman year. She was duly enrolled in North Star Middle College during her junior year. Jada's favorite classes during the last 4 years have been English and literature courses, and she took every opportunity to have thoughtful conversations with her teachers about the material. Jada loves participating in her school's poetry slam her sophomore and junior years, and she plans to participate again this spring. She loves expressing herself through poetry, especially using free verse, and finds poetry to be both fun and very powerful. Jada has considered participating in Poetry Out Loud before, but this is her first competition. After graduation, Jada plans to attend the University of Alaska Fairbanks and earn her Bachelor of Secondary Education with an English major. This is my favorite part. I love these questions that they asked and all of the answers that the students gave, so I really appreciate that. If Jada was a poem, she would be a free verse poem because it is her favorite style to write in. She loves the freedom of being able to let the words flow, and she believes this unrestricted enjoyment embodies the way she likes to enjoy many things, poetry included. Jaden isn't sure she has a favorite poet, but as a kid, she remembers enjoying Shel Silverstein's poems in his book, Where the Sidewalk Ends. My daughter was very scared because of the photo on the back of that book. Full 8x10 of Shel Silverstein. She didn't want to read the book after she saw the back cover. If she were to write a poem for the world, Jada would share a poem about her experience struggling and eventually overcoming mental health, an experience she feels many people can relate to and shouldn't be ashamed of. Jada Lormore of North Pole High School.
How to Write a Poem by Laura Hershey. Don't be brilliant. Don't use words for their own sake or to show how clever you are, how thoroughly you have subjugated them to your will, the words. Don't try to write a poem as good as your favorite poet. Don't even try to write a good poem. Just peel back the folds over your heart and shine into it the strongest light that streams from your eyes or somewhere else. Whatever begins bubbling forth from there, whatever sound or smell or color swells up, makes your throat fill with unsaid tears, whatever threatens to ignite your hair, your eyelashes if you get too close, write that. Suck it in and quickly shape it with your tongue before you grow too afraid of it and it gets away. Don't think about writing a good poem or a great poem or the poem to end all poems. Write the poem you need to hear. Write the poem you need.
Throughout his life so far, Thomas Olson Phillips has lived in Petersburg, Alaska. Thomas said, "I have grown to have a deep love for Alaska and the amazing landscape of it. I started off schooling without much interest in any subjects. Then in 4th grade, I found an interest in math. This interest in math had begun to push me to try harder in school and to look forward to school each day. The next subject I grew towards was music. The Petersburg music program is likely the largest reason for what I have achieved throughout my education. The music program connected Thomas to the friends he has today, providing him with reasons to push himself even further through competition. These competitions mostly include GPA and musical achievements. Most of his peers competed in the Poetry Out Loud competition hosted by Petersburg High School. Some motivation came from competing against the reigning school Poetry Out Loud champion and prior state finalist Eleanor Candle, who is also Thomas's friend. He said, "Now that I have made it this far, I am determined to do my best and not disappoint her." If he were a poem, Thomas told us that, "I believe myself to be like acrostic or shape poetry. The acrostic poetry is because if you listen to me from sentence to sentence or phrase to phrase, you may not pick up the full idea unless you look at the picture as a whole. It's the same concept for shape poetry. When I speak, I like to paint imagery with my words to provide something to imagine as the listener." Thomas only identified a favorite poet this year. He never really found a connection to poetry previously. He said, "I had always been assigned it throughout my school years, which made my mind assign poetry with the feeling of requirement instead of something of enjoyment. The poem I found this year, Numbers by Mary Cornish, showed me that I can connect with poetry not just on the educational level. I have a love for math, and this poem allowed me to express that to others from my school." He said, "If I had the opportunity to write a poem for the world, one poem," Thomas had 2 ideas. He said, "I believe that everyone should know some general information about space and the forces that act throughout it. I would strictly write about the physics aspect of it. The history of the universe, such as how it all began, is thought differently from one person to another, such as scientific perspectives and religious ones. That's in parenthetical phrases. Therefore, I will withhold that separate idea. The second idea I have is writing about my journey of finding interest in poetry. I would write about my experience of finding a poem I truly connect with and how it changed my whole viewpoint about poetry as a whole and my appreciation of it. Thomas Olson Phillips of Petersburg High School.
Numbers by Mary Cornish. I like the generosity of numbers. The way, for example, they are willing to count anything or anyone. 2 pickles, 1 door to the room, 8 dancers dressed as swans. I like the domesticity of addition. Add 2 cups of milk and stir. The sense of plenty. 6 plums on the ground, 3 more falling from the tree. And multiplication's school of fish times fish, whose silver bodies breed beneath the shadow of a boat. Even subtraction is never loss, just addition somewhere else. 5 sparrows take away 2, the 2 in someone else's garden now. There's an amplitude to long division. As it opens Chinese takeout, box by paper box, inside every folded cookie a new fortune. And I never fail to be surprised by the gift of an odd remainder, footloose at the end. 47 divided by 11 is 4, with 3 remaining. 3 boys beyond their mother's call. 2 Italians off to the sea. 1 sock that isn't anywhere you look.
Addison Cheney is 16 years old. She has been writing poetry and songs since she was 12. Addison is very proud of her Yupik heritage, and she enjoys learning the language and teaching others her culture. She is a sophomore who is very proud of her straight A's. Addison's favorite things to do are writing, cooking, singing, drinking coffee, and spending time with family. Addison had a very hard childhood, but says expressing herself through writing poetry and music has helped her through it. It gave her hope when life seemed hopeless. Addison shares her story in the hopes that one day it will help others and encourage them to find their voice to tell their story. She hopes everyone can learn that they are not alone. If Addison was a poem, she said she would be a haiku because she is simple, organized, and says a lot without a lot of words. If she could write one poem for the whole world, she would write about silence, to spread awareness that you never know what others are struggling with. She says, everyone has a story they never told, so be mindful of that and treat others the way you want to be treated. Addison Cheney of JDHS Homebridge in Juneau.
Across the Street by Austin Segrest. I ran across the street. I didn't know any better. Ran out in the street. I didn't know no better. I just knew a woman was there, though I never met her. She sat me in her parlor, distracting me with trinkets, milky glass birds and fish, distracting trinkets. She said my mother would be fine, but did she think it? The world was a blur of crystal wings and fins. My tears were cast in crystal wings and fins. She was the first of many lady friends. The tree shadows shortened. She brought me a drink of water. Morning matured. She brought me a glass of water. I drank it so fast, she went and brought another. I kept looking out the window. She didn't ask me what for. I watched out that window. She didn't ask what for. The seconds broke off and lay there on the floor. I imagined my mother's route as far as I could, her long morning walk, followed as far as I could. Nothing I could do would do any good. Suffer the little children and forbid them not. Christ said, suffer the little children and forbid them not. Said, love thy neighbor. Sometimes she's all you got.
Malachi Grossman is a freshman who hails from Tenalian High School, located in Port Alsworth. Malachi had watched other students from his school attend State Poetry Out Loud, but was never interested in participating himself. During the final competition in his school, he made an impromptu decision to risk class embarrassment and apply himself. He never actually expected to make it to state. Congratulations, Malachi. In his school, he participates in cross country, volleyball, basketball, and has won a state Battle of the Books championship. He loves to read and build Lego sets. Malachi is interested in a career in aviation. If Malachi were a poem, he would be a sonnet because of its iconic beat. Malachi's favorite poet is Shakespeare, but he is attributed with the invention of many words. If Malachi had the chance to write a poem for the world, it would be about the beauty of nature's challenges. Malachi Grossman of Tenalian School in Port Alsworth.
Declaration by Tracy K. Smith. He has sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people. He has plundered our, ravaged our, destroyed the lives of our, taking away our, abolishing our most valuable and altering fundamentally the forms of our. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our emigration and settlement here, taken captive on the high seas to bear
Rayanna is a senior through the Upstream Learning Homeschool curriculum. Rayanna has loved poetry ever since school, where she was required to memorize many poems, including some from Longfellow, Wordsworth, and Frost, to name a few of her favorites. She has been doing poetry out loud throughout high school, making the state finals during her freshman year. Along with poetry, Rayanna loves music, teaching, babysitting, reading, baking, and anything to do with yarn. She also plans to go to Pensacola Christian College after her graduation. If I were a poem, Rayanna said, I would be a ballad. My favorite poet is Longfellow because I love how he brings nature and childhood into his poems. In closing, Rayanna said, if I had an opportunity to write one poem for the world, I would write on the value of human life and our purpose for life. Rayanna Proch of Upstream Learning in Copper River School District.
I Remember by Thomas Hood. I remember the house where I was born, the little window where the sun came peeping in at morn. He never came a wink too soon, nor brought too long a day. But now I often wish the night had borne my breath away. I remember the roses, red and white, the violets and the lily cups, those flowers made of light, the lilacs where the robin built, and where my brother set the laburnum on his birthday, the tree his living yet. I remember where I was used to swing, and thought the air must rush as fresh to swallows on the wing. My spirit flew in feathers then, that is so heavy now, and summer pools could hardly cool the fever on my brow. I remember the fir trees, dark and high. I used to think their slender tops were close against the sky. It was a childish ignorance, but now 'tis little joy to know I'm farther off from heaven than when I was a boy.
Mona is currently a senior at West Anchorage High School, where she has attended the last 2.5 years. She found out about Poetry Out Loud her sophomore year at West and fell in love with it ever since. To Mona, Poetry Out Loud is an opportunity like no other, and she is thankful to have been introduced to it. Weirdly enough, Mona's favorite aspect of Poetry Out Loud is finally finding the right poem after days of searching. Currently, in her free time, Mona loves to sing and prepare for the upcoming track season. In the near future, she hopes to be attending the United States Naval Academy as a track and field athlete. As a poem, Mona would be a ballad. Ballad makes her think of a child skipping across a field of flowers, and that's the freedom with which Mona wants to live her life. Mona's current favorite poet is Amanda Gorman. She hasn't read much of her poetry before, but became interested recently when she was given an Amanda Gorman-themed journal. While the journal has pages to write in, it also has many pages of Amanda Gorman quotes, one of which Mona used for her senior quote. If Mona could write one poem for the world, it would be about acceptance and perspective. She believes that what the world needs most right now is to take the time to understand others' perspectives and to use that to be more understanding. She feels that ultimately this would create a more accepting world. Mona Coco of West Anchorage High School.
Broadcast rights for this poem have not been granted for this event.
Lumi Furman is from Juneau, Alaska. This is her second year participating in the Poetry Out Loud state competition, and she is very grateful for the opportunity. She enjoyed last year's competition and has made many new friends throughout Alaska by participating in it. Besides poetry, Lumi enjoys other activities such as hiking, running, and stargazing. Currently, Lumi is a sophomore in high school attending JDHS Yada'a Kathle. If she were a poem, she would be a free verse because they don't have to follow a set of strict rules. Her favorite poet is Pablo Neruda because of his diverse topics and his ability to capture all kinds of emotions. If she had the opportunity to write one poem for the world, it would be about learning to love each other and coming together as one. Lumi is studying EMT training and is considering pursuing a career in the medical field someday. Lumi Furman of Juneau Douglas High School, Yada'a Kathle.
Don't Let Me Be Lonely at the Airport Security Checkpoint by Claudia Rankin. At the airport security checkpoint, on my way to visit my grandmother, I am asked to drink from my water bottle. This water bottle? That's right. Open it and drink from it. At the airport security checkpoint, on my way to visit my grandmother, I am asked to take off my shoes. Take off my shoes? Yes, both, please. At the airport security checkpoint, on my way to visit my grandmother, I am asked if I have a fever. A fever, really? Yes, really. My grandmother is in a nursing home. It's not bad. It doesn't smell like pee. It doesn't smell like anything. When I go to see her as I walk through the hall past the common room in the nurse's station, old person after old person puts out his or her hand to me. Stephen, one says. Anne, another calls. It's like being in a third world country. But instead of food or money, you are what is wanted. Your company. In third world countries, I have felt overwhelmingly American. Calcium rich, privileged, and white. Here, I feel young, lucky, and sad. Sad is one of those words that has given up its life for our country. It's been a martyr for the American dream. It's been neutralized, co-opted by our culture to suggest a tinge of discomfort that lasts the time it takes for this and then for that to happen. The time it takes to change a channel. But sadness is real because once it meant something real. It meant dignified, grave. It meant trustworthy. It meant exceptionally bad, deplorable, shameful. It meant massive, weighty, forming a compact body. It meant falling heavily. And it meant of a color, dark. It meant dark in color, to darken. It meant me. I felt sad.
Let's give it up for round one for our state finalists. I don't know about y'all, but I'm filled with warmth, joy, and gratitude. I am so impressed with these young students. and all of the work that they're doing in their recitations. So congratulations. Let's all take one breath together, shall we? Shall we inhale? That's nice. Let's start round 2. During this round, instead of telling you more about the students, I'll be telling you a little bit about our judges and our mentees, our mentors. They're the mentees. So, there are many Alaskans who get involved with Poetry Out Loud each year, without whose shared time and effort, this program would not be possible. Students, families, teachers, school administrators, librarians are program supporters, leaders, and liaisons with the state program. Poetry Out Loud panelists at the school and regional level help students advance through to the Alaska State Poetry Out Loud program. And this evening we have 5 panelists who are scoring in the students' recitations. We'll learn more about our panelists throughout this next round, and we thank you for taking on the task. We also have scorekeepers, prompters, and the amazing team at the Juneau Arts and Humanities Council, which have been managing this program with the Alaska State Council on the Arts almost since its inception. The Juneau Arts and Humanities Council is the key reason we are able to connect with educators and young people across the state to learn about Poetry Out Loud. The Juneau Arts and Humanities Council also makes it possible for all of us to come together in the capital city. In the room and behind the scenes, there are an excellent team of public media professionals right here at KTOO, which I am a proud member and staff member of. So thank you to the KTOO team. The partnership between Alaska Poetry Out Loud and KTOO creates access to Poetry Out Loud for Alaskans across our state through the live stream and rebroadcast, and this wouldn't be possible otherwise. And if you really want to, you can find all the past Poetry Out Loud online, which is pretty cool. All these individuals and partners have worked on Poetry Out Loud for many years, and we are grateful for all the energy and generosity of spirit that keeps this program going. This is the 20th year of Poetry Out Loud in the United States and in Alaska. That's amazing. We honor our Alaska State Poetry Out Loud coordinator who has made the program possible, Amanda Filori. Has cultivated and organized our shared endeavor in support of poetry and the many voices of our young people with great generosity of spirit. Thank you to Amanda Filori for all you have done to bring this program forward, adapt to the changes and challenges of the last 5 years, and for the gift of poetry you have given to thousands of young Alaskans over many more years. Next up, round 2, Julia Wang of Fairbanks Best Homeschool.
America, I Sing You Back by Allison Adele Hedge Koch. For Phil Young and my father, Robert Hedge Koch. For Whitman and Hughes. America, I sing back what sung you in. Sing back the moment you cherished breath. Sing you home into yourself and back to reason. Before America began to sing, I sung her to sleep, held her cradle board, wept her into day. My song gave her creation, prepared her delivery, held her severed cord, beautifully beaded. My song helped her stand, held her hand for first steps, nourished her very being, fed her, placed her 3 sisters strong. My song comforted her as she battled my reason, broke my long-held footing sure, as any child might do. as she pushed herself away, forced me to remove myself. As I cried this country, my song grew roses in each tear's fall. My blood-veined rivers painted pipestone quarries, circled canyons, while she made herself maiden fine. But here I am, here I remain, high on each and every peak, carefully rumbling her great underbelly, prepared to pour forth singing. And sing again I will, as I have always done. Never silenced, unless in the company of strangers, singing the stoic face, polite repose, polite, while dancing deep inside, polite, mother of her world, sister of myself. When my song sings aloud again, when I call her back to cradle, call her to peer into waters, to behold herself in dark and light, day and night. Call her to sing along, call her to mature, to envision. Then she will quake herself over. My song will make it so. When she grows far past her self-considered purpose, I will sing her back, sing her back. I will sing. Oh, I will. I do. America, I sing back what sung you in.
As a parent myself, nothing gives me greater joy than to see parents in the audience taking video of their young one performing. What a wonderful thing. Accuracy is the first element of the Poetry Out Loud recitation. The core task for a student is to keep the poet's language intact for the audience. Given that accuracy is the foundation of a good recitation, serving as an accuracy judge is a critical component of the evaluation process. 8 points will be added to each contestant's evaluation score for a perfectly accurate recitation. Lifelong Juneau resident Davina Cole-Drones Linkit is Yanyedi of the Taku Kwan, an indigenous artist who works with fibers, skins, and other regalia to connect with her culture and create beautiful works of art. Davina also works at the University of Alaska Southeast as the program coordinator of Northwest Coast Arts, sits on 2 Juneau community boards, the Juneau Arts and Humanities Council since 2021, and the Juneau Softball Association since 2023. I love the dichotomy of those two things. And is a member of the multicultural dance group KTOO that represents many cultures of the Pacific Northwest coast. Gwyneth Cheesh, thank you for your service as our accuracy judge. And now, Mina Yee of Skagway School.
Broadcast rights for this poem have not been granted for this event.
Evaluation judges for Poetry Out Loud have several criteria to consider, including physical presence, voice and articulation, interpretation, evidence of understanding, and overall performance. There are 4 panelists serving as evaluation judges this year. We'll start with Linda Buckley, who has lived and worked in Alaska for decades. She taught music and creative writing for 30 years. She was an adjunct professor at UAS for 4 years. Linda is a world traveler, singer-songwriter, and holds a master's degree in anthropology. Buckley is the author of 3 children's books, The Bear and the Blueberry, The Humpback in the Herring, and The Eagle in the Hooligan. Her first work of poetry and prose, Made of Rain, was published by Wild Rising Press in June 2022. She is currently working on a memoir. Linda's poetry has appeared in Tidal Echoes, Alaska Women Speak, 49 Writers, and the Juneau Empire. She has recorded 3 CDs with several original songs. Her recent website, lindabuckleyalaska.com, showcases her photographs, her poetry, and an occasional blog. I love it. Raiden Skorsky O'Donnell of Homer High School.
Poem with Human Intelligence by J. Stanislao Lopez. This century is younger than me. It dresses itself in an overlong coat of enlightenment thinking, despite the disappearing winter. It twirls the lighted fidget spinner, one from the carnival of oil economies. In this century, chatbots write poems where starlings wander from their murmuration into the denim-thick clouds of a storm. When the chatbots inevitably learn to kill their darlings, we'll ask if we are their darlings. We'll dive further inward if not, or if so. In films, the intelligent computer always arrives at a misunderstanding of the human soul because it lacks our ability to lie to ourselves, to feign hope and love through disillusion.
Sandy Fortier is our next evaluation judge. Sandy is a longtime arts educator, musician, and arts advocate. With a background in music performance and education, she has taught in public schools and private studios, inspiring students through the power of music. She currently serves as the executive director of the Juneau Jazz and Classics, bringing world-class musicians to Alaska to create opportunities for students and communities to engage with the arts. Sandy was recently named the 2025 Alaska Arts Education Consortium Arts Leader Champion of Arts in Education. That's a long title. So I guess more congratulations are in order. Her work reflects a deep belief in the transformative impact of the arts, fostering creativity, connection, and lifelong learning. As a Poetry Out Loud judge, Sandy brings a musician's ear for rhythm, expression, and storytelling, celebrating the intersection of poetry and performance. Up next, Grace Nicholson of Idea Homeschool.
Broadcast rights for this poem have not been granted for this event.
Sheesh. Our next evaluation judge, Lorelei Ivanoff, is an Inupiaq Yupik writer and James Beard award-winning journalist who grew up in Unalakleet. She and her children are members of the native village of Unalakleet, the southernmost Inupiaq community in Alaska. She is passionate about sharing stories that show Alaska Native ways of life, indigenous values, and relationship with the land and water. Lorelei holds a Bachelor of Arts degree from the University of Alaska Fairbanks in journalism and a Master of Fine Arts in creative writing from the Institute of American Indian Arts. She is a columnist for High Country News and believes in the power of communicating and works to assert the Alaska Native narrative and mindset into state and nationwide media. Most recently, Lorelei served as the executive director for Native Peoples Action, working to protect Alaska Native hunting, fishing, and harvesting rights, and is now the communications lead for Alaska Venture Fund. Thank you for your service, Lorelei. And now, Jada Lormore of North Pole High School.
Invisible Children by Mariana Llanos. Invisible children fall through the cracks of the system like Alice in the rabbit hole. But these children won't find an eat me cake or a drink me bottle. They won't wake up on the lap of a loving sister. They'll open their eyes on the hand of a monster called negligence who will poke them with its sharp teeth and bait them with its heartless laughter like a wild thing in a wild rumpus. But the children won't awake to the smell of a warm supper, nor will they find a purple crayon to draw an escape door or a window. Instead, they'll make a mirror of a murky puddle on the city street, which won't tell them they're beautiful, but it'll show their scars. As invisible to others as these children are.
Thank you so much. Our next evaluation judge, Kevin T. Myers, is the author of 2 books, Hidden Falls and Need Blind Ambition. He is a former stand-up comic and comedy writer. He has appeared on the Comedy Channel, was featured on 2020, and appears in the Comedy Store documentary for a humiliating 5 seconds. Ask him about those 5 seconds after. His jokes have been told at colleges, clubs, on The Tonight Show, and on Broadway. His essay, The Power of Compassion, aired nationally on NPR's This I Believe series. He has worked as a journalist and editor in newsrooms from New Hampshire to Alaska, where he ran the Capital City Weekly. He has worked in higher education as a speechwriter, a spokesperson, and a media, government, and public relations liaison for 20 years. He lives in Juneau, Alaska, with his dog, Boo. Up next, Thomas Olson Phillips of Petersburg High School.
A Noiseless, Patient Spider by Walt Whitman. A noiseless, patient spider. I marked where on a little promontory it stood, isolated. Marked how to explore the vacant, vast surrounding. It launched forth filament out of itself, ever unreeling them, ever tirelessly speeding them. And you, O my soul, where you stand, surrounded, detached, in measureless oceans of space, ceaselessly musing, venturing, throwing, seeking the spheres to connect them, till the bridge you will need be formed, till the ductile anchor hold, till the gossamer thread you fling catch somewhere, O my soul.
Cheese Thomas. We have two scorekeepers on the panel this evening. Thank you to Tay Anderson Johnson and Morgan Duffseth for taking on this role. Once the judges submit their scores to the scorekeeper, they are final, and judges are not able to change their scores, as much as Kevin might want to rewrite, as he is the writer. During competition, judges may not convene to discuss their scores. I've been watching. They haven't been doing that. We are grateful to Morgan and Tay for keeping us organized and for working with the tabulations. Born and raised in Fairbanks, Morgan Duffseth moved to Juneau in early 2023. She started working for the Jack a few months later and has greatly enjoyed getting to know the Juneau community through its myriad events supporting artists and the arts. She graduated from UAF in 2008 with a degree in sociology and went on to work for the university system for over 10 years. She lives with her boyfriend Will and their German shepherd Louise. In her free time, Morgan enjoys Nordic skiing, cross-stitch, and trying to get Wordle in 3. We'll talk about Tay Anderson Johnson next. But right now, Addison Cheney of JDHS Homebridge in Juneau.
I heard a fly buzz when I died. Emily Dickinson. I heard a fly buzz when I died. The stillness in the room was like the stillness in the air between the heaves of storm. The eyes around had wrung them dry, and breaths were gathering firm for that last onset when the king be witnessed in the room. I willed my keepsake, signed away, what portion of me be assignable? And then it was there, interposed a fly, with blue, uncertain, stumbling buzz between the light and me, and then the windows failed. And then I could not see to see.
Addison. Our second scorekeeper, Tay Anderson Johnson, is the administrative officer at the Alaska State Council on the Arts. Tay was born and raised in Anchorage, Alaska. She completed her high school in Anchorage and college education at University of Alaska Anchorage, UAA, Seawolves, let's go, where she obtained a Bachelor of Arts in Administration and Business Management with a minor in dance in 2021. Shout out Jill Crosby, right? Absolutely. During her college years, Tay managed her own business as a dance instructor and choreographer at TMAJ Dance Studio. Tay previously worked for the State of Alaska Public Health Lab, where she helped tackle COVID-19 related challenges, and the Department of Transportation, where she managed budget for support services, construction, and design. I think you might be overqualified to be a scorekeeper. In her free time, Tay enjoys dancing and teaching hip-hop and other dance styles. The rhythm and creative expression that dance provides are what motivate Tashawn to dance as frequently as possible. After this round of recitation, Tay and Morgan will double-check all the scores have been entered correctly into the score sheet and confirm the tabulations with the rest of our panel. This process will indicate which of these excellent competitors will advance to the third round of competition. While only some of the state finalists will be scored in the third round of the recitation, all have prepared 3 poems, and we do look forward to hearing all of the recitations in the third round. And now, Malachi Grossman of Tenalian School in Port Allsworth.
The Glories of Our Blood and State by James Shirley. The glories of our blood and state are shadows, not substantial things. There is no armor against fate. Death lays his icy hand on kings. Scepter and crown must tumble down, and in the dust be equal made with the poor crooked scythe and spade. Men with swords may reap the fields and plant fresh laurels where they kill, but their strong nerves at last must yield. They tame, but one another still. Early or late, they stoop to fate and must give up their murmuring breath when they, pale captives, creep to death. The garlands wither on your brow and boast no more your mighty deeds. Upon death's purple altar now, see where the victim, bleeds. Your heads must come to the cold tomb. Only the actions of the just smell sweet and blossom in their dust.
Jeez. Another group of individuals we must recognize as key to the Alaska Poetry Out Loud program are the 6 mentor coaches who have been working with the state finalists following the regional competitions. Many of them are here tonight. Nami, right over there. Trip J. Krause, right over there. Frank Delaney, who is not here with us tonight. Dita Devi, right over here, right in the front row. Donnie Gott, spin back around, Bob. And Flordolino Lagandino. All of them worked with the state finalists to support them through the State Poetry Out Loud competition. Prior to spending most of the day together, yesterday, the state finalists and their mentors connected online and in person for coaching and support. This means that since becoming state finalists, these young people have had the mentorship and support of their teacher or other Poetry Out Loud school liaisons at home. They have also had mentorship and support from this team of state coaches. We acknowledge the mentors for all the ways you have supported this experience for the state finalists and the ways you have helped them build their strong voices. Thank you to this group of local poets, writers, performers, and educators. Nami, Trip J. Krause, Frank Delaney, Dita Devi, Donnie Gott, and Flordolino Lagandino. And now, Rayana Proch of Upstream Learning in Copper River School District.
Shall Earth No More Inspire Thee by Emily Bronte. Shall earth no more inspire thee, thou lonely dreamer now? Since passion may not fire thee, shall nature cease to bow? Thy mind is ever moving in regions dark to thee. Recall its useless roving. Come back and dwell with me. I know my mountain breezes enchant and soothe thee still. I know my sunshine pleases, despite thy wayward will. When day with evening blending sings from the summer sky, I've seen thy spirit bending in fond idolatry. I've watched thee every hour. I know my mighty sway. I know my magic power to drive thy griefs away. Few hearts to mortals given on earth so wildly pine, yet none would ask a heaven more like this earth than thine. Then let my winds caress thee, thy comrade let me be, since naught beside can bless thee. Return and dwell with me.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Okay, let's see. I want to find my facts that I want to share with you in this break as the judges tabulate. So you're probably wondering to yourselves, what happens when the winner is announced? I'm going to tell you. Each winner at the state level receives $200 and an all-expenses-paid trip with an adult chaperone to Washington, D.C. to compete at the national finals. The state winner's school organization receives $500 for the purchase of poetry materials. The first runner-up in each state receives $100, with $200 for their school or organization. At the national finals, a total of $50,000 in awards and school organizational stipends are awarded annually, including the $20,000 award for the national champion, $10,000 for second place, $5,000 for third place, and $1,000 for 4th through 12th places. The representing school/organization of each of the top 12 finalists receive $500 for the purchase of poetry materials. I love it. $20,000 for the winner, $500 for the school. And this year, the Alaska State champion will go to compete at the National Poetry Out Loud Finals. It's May 5th through the 7th. And if for any reason the state champion is unable to attend the next level of competition, the runner-up will be called upon to compete. Okay, up next, Mona Coco of West Anchorage High School.
Songs for the People by Frances Ellen Watkins Harper. Let me make the songs for the people, songs for the old and young, songs to stir like a battle cry wherever they're sung. Not for the clashing of sabers, for carnage nor for strife, but songs to thrill the hearts of men with more abundant life. Let me make the songs for the weary amid life's fever and fret, till hearts shall relax their tension and careworn brows forget. Let me sing for little children before their footsteps stray, sweet anthems of love and duty to float o'er life's highway. I would sing for the poor and aged, when shadows dim their sight of the bright and restful mansions where there shall be no night. Our world, so worn and weary, needs music pure and strong to hush the jingle and discord of sorrow, pain, and wrong. Music to soothe all its sorrow till war and crime shall cease, and the hearts of men, grown tender, girdle the world with peace.
Good cheese, Mona. That was excellent. Okay, I want to tell you, reminder of what our judges will be scoring upon after this last contestant. We'll take a short break and they will tally up all the responses so far, and we will come back after an intermission and have our finalists recite their third poem, and then we'll hear everyone recite their poem as well. So again, the judges are looking at physical presence. They consider the student's stage presence, body language, and composure. Voice and articulation. They will consider the student's projection, pace, intonation, rhythm, and pronunciation. The student should be clear and project enough to capture the audience's attention. Projection should not be excessive. I always used to get those notes that I was too loud. Any changes in tone should be appropriate to the subject matter. Interpretation. Consider whether the student's interpretive and performance choices enhance the audience's understanding and enjoyment of the poem without overshadowing the poem's language. Evidence of understanding. Consider the student's use of intonation, emphasis, tone, and style of delivery. This category measures a student's comprehension and mastery of a poem. And finally, overall performance. Consider whether the student's physical presence, voice and articulation, interpretation, and evidence of understanding all seem on target and unified to breathe life into the poem. Overall performance is worth more than the other categories, with the value up to 9 points. Our last contestant of round 2, Lumi Furman of Juneau Douglas High School, Yada'a Kathle.
Back Up Quick, They're Hippies, by Lonnie O'Hanlon. That was the year we drove into the commune in Cornwall. Jesus, Jim, Ma'am said, back up quick, they're hippies. Through the car window, tents, row after row, flaps open. Long-haired men and women curled around each other like babies, and the babies themselves wandered naked across the grass. I reached for the handle, ready, almost, to open the door, drop out and away from my sister's aggressive thighs, Daddy's slapping hands. Back home in the Dandelion Market, I unlearned the steps my mother taught. Bought a headband, an Afghan coat, a fringed skirt, leather skin. Barefoot on common grass, I lay down with kin. Thank you.
Okay, now is the time for what we like to call intermission. We'll take a short 15-minute break or so as the judges and the tabulators count up all the scores, and we will find out who our finalists are. So let's take a 15, everybody. the 2025 Alaska State Poetry Out Loud competition. Our judges had a tough time getting to finalists. But before we announce those finalists, I know it's like the Oscars, you want to know right now. But I just want you all to give one more round of applause to all of the state finalists. Here's how it will work. I will announce the finalists, and then we will hear those folks recite their third poem in the same order that they went in the first and second round. After they are done, while the judges are tabulating the final result, we will hear the third poem of all of the other contestants who are here tonight. And also, before we begin, I want to teach you just one little thing, which somebody taught to me, I believe, in high school during theater. And it was a way, I get nervous every day. I'm on the radio every day. I get nervous right before I go on air every day. And I always remember this exercise. And I want the whole audience to do it with me if you would. So if you make a little triangle with your hand, and you can imagine that you are a little runner, right? And you're going up the hill. And as you go up the hill, you're going to breathe in. And then as you go down the hill, you're going to breathe out. And then you take a pause as you run back to the start. And then you will do that again. So here we go. And one more time. Excellent. Okay, so we have four finalists this year, and I will announce them in recitation order. Raiden Skorsky O'Donnell of Homer High School. Jada Lormore of North Pole High School. Mona Coco of West Anchorage High School. And Lumi Furman of Juneau Douglas High School, Yada Akafle. Okay, so one more breath. All right, here we go. Raiden Skorsky O'Donnell of Homer High School.
Invictus by William Ernest Henley. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody, but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade. And yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
Excellent. So, arts education programs like Poetry Out Loud matter. National Endowment for the Arts research tells us that children who have arts opportunities in and out of school are much more likely to become adults who participate in the arts. I always think of it as, even if they don't continue on as a performer, they become future audience members for music, performance, dance, art at museums, visual art, and such. Students who participate in Poetry Out Loud have showed an increase in self-confidence and found that reading and listening to poetry help them think about situations from multiple perspectives. I think you would all nod in agreement with that. According to your bios, that it has helped you in self-confidence and also thinking about the world in new and better ways. Thank you so much for that. In 2022, more than 29 million adults either read or listened to poetry via broadcasts, recordings, or web streaming, according to the NEA research. Fantastic. I love me some poetry, and I want to hear some more from Jada Lormore of North Pole High School.
Nothing to Do by James Ephraim McGirt. The fields are white, the laborers are few, yet say the idle, there's nothing to do. Jails are crowded in Sunday schools few, we still complain, there's nothing to do. Drunkards are dying, your sons, it is true, mother's arms folded with nothing to do. Heathens are dying, their blood falls on you. How can you people find nothing to do?
Since Poetry Out Loud began in 2005, more than 4.4 million students and 81,000 teachers from 20,000 schools across the U.S. have participated in this competition. The state and jurisdictional art agencies in all 50 states, American Samoa, District of Columbia, Guam, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands administer the official Poetry Out Loud program. And this is very interesting. I like this fact that Poetry Out Loud begins at the local level with a school or organization. Non-school organizations, such as after-school clubs, libraries, or nonprofit organizations, may also choose to run Poetry Out Loud as well. Of course, students may only compete in one stream, either with their school or an organization. Okay. We have our third finalist, Mona Coco of West Anchorage High School.
Haiku and Tanka for Harriet Tubman by Sonia Sanchez. Picture a woman riding thunder on the legs of slavery. Picture her kissing our spines, saying no to the eyes of slavery. Picture her rotating the earth into a shape of lives, becoming. Picture her leaning into the eyes of our birth clouds. Picture this woman saying no to the constant yes of slavery. Picture a woman jumping rivers, her legs inhaling moons. Picture her ripe with seasons of legs, running. Picture her tasting the secret corners of woods. Picture her saying, you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars, to change the world. Imagine her words. Every great dream begins with a dreamer. Imagine her saying, I freed 1,000 slaves, could have freed 1,000 more if they only knew they were slaves. Imagine her humming, how many days we got before we taste freedom? Imagine a woman asking, how many workers for this freedom quilt? Picture her saying, a live runaway could do great harm by going back, but a dead runaway could tell no secrets. Picture the daylight bringing her to woods full of birth moons. Picture John Brown shaking her hands 3 times saying, General Tubman, General Tubman, General Tubman. Picture her words. There's 2 things I got a right to. Death or liberty. Picture her saying no to a play called Uncle Tom's Cabin. I am the real thing. Picture a black woman, could not read or write, trailing freedom refrains. Picture her face turning southward, walking down a southern road. Picture this woman, freedom-bound, tasting a people's preserved breath. Picture this woman of royalty wearing a crown of morning air. Picture her walking, running, reviving a country's breath. Picture black voices leaving behind lost tongues.
Okay, so we asked the students 3 questions. If you were a poem, would you be a haiku, a shape poem, epic, sonnet, or free verse? If not one of these, what type of poem would you be? If you have a favorite poet, who is it? And please tell us why. And if you had the opportunity to write one poem for the world, what experience, idea, or theme might you write about? And I think it's only fair that I give you my answers. Really tough choices, because as a parent, although my daughter is now 23, my favorite is a tie between Fuzzy Wuzzy Was a Bear or my daughter's real favorite, which was, oh, you naughty little kittens, you have lost your mittens, and you shall have no pie. I love those. My favorite poet is Charles Bukowski, although I doubt he's in the anthology for Poetry Out Loud. I would be surprised if he was. But I was an angry young man, and I love Sam Shepard and Charles Bukowski, so thank you for those. And if I had to write a poem for the world, it would be, and I'm not the biggest Shakespeare fan, to be honest with you, but it would be a sonnet, because I think what the world needs now is love. Our last contestant, Lumi Furman of Juneau Douglas High School, Yada Akathle.
The World is Too Much with Us by William Wordsworth. The world is too much with us. Late and soon, getting and spending, we lay waste our powers. Little we see in nature that is ours. We have given our hearts away, a sordid boon. This sea that bears her bosom to the moon. The winds that will be howling at all hours, and are upgathered now like sleeping flowers. For this, for everything, we are out of tune. It moves us not. Great God, I'd rather be a pagan suckled in a creed outworn. So might I, standing on this pleasant lea, have glimpses that would make me less forlorn. Have sight of Proteus rising from the sea, or hear old Triton blow his wreathed horn.
One more round of applause for all of our 4 finalists. Now, while they tabulate those results, we will go back and hear the third poem from the other finalists who were part of the competition this year. But before we do that, there's one more thing I want to mention. The state and national Poetry Out Loud competition requires the students select 3 poems from the Poetry Out Loud anthology and commit these poems to memory. While poems must be committed to memory, during Poetry Out Loud, students are permitted to utilize a prompter during a recitation. This is someone who will have a notebook with each poem whom the students can look to if they forget a word or line. This person, who is our prompter this year, never writes herself into the script as a thanks. She is undying in her dedication to Poetry Out Loud, and I think we need to give a round of applause to Laura Forbes. Thank you so much. Sheesh, Laura. Okay, so we'll go back to the beginning and we'll hear the third poem. First up, Julia Wang of Fairbanks Best Homeschool.
Broadcast rights for this poem have not been granted for this event.
One of the joys of this competition is watching the students from all around the state come together and then really become compatriots and friends throughout the course of the time that they're here in Juneau. It's one of the benefits of this program, and I'm sure many of them remain friends long after this competition exists. Up next, Mina Yi of Skagway School.
The World is Too Much with Us by William Wordsworth. The world is too much with us. Late and soon, getting and spending, we lay waste our powers. Little we see in nature's that is ours, we have given our hearts away, a sordid boon. This sea that bears her bosom to the moon, the winds that will be howling all the hours and are upgathered now like sleeping flowers. For this
For everything, we are out of tune. It moves us not. Great God! I'd rather be a pagan suckled in a creed outworn. So, might I, standing on this pleasant lea, have glimpses that would make me less forlorn? Have sight of Proteus rising from the sea, or hear Triton blow his wreathed horn?
Check the anthology and see how many of the titles of the poems are the same as the first line of the poem. I always find that interesting because these are writers, and I feel like they could come up with a more imaginative title for their poem. Just a note. Grace Nicholson of Idea Homeschool.
It Couldn't Be Done by Edgar Albert Guest. Somebody said that it couldn't be done, but he, with a chuckle, replied that maybe it couldn't, but he would be one who wouldn't say so till he tried. So he buckled right in with a trace of a grin on his face. If he worried, he hid it. He started to sing as he tackled the thing that couldn't be done, and he did it. Somebody scoffed, "Oh, you'll never do that. At least no one ever has done it." But he took off his coat and he took off his hat. And the first thing we knew, he'd begun it. With a lift of his chin and a bit of a grin, without any doubting or quit it, he started to sing as he tackled the thing that couldn't be done, and he did it. There are thousands to tell you it cannot be done. There are thousands to prophesy failure. There are thousands to point out to you, one by one, the dangers that wait to assail you. But just buckle in with a bit of a grin. Just take off your coat and go to it. Just start in to sing as you tackle the thing that cannot be done, and you'll do it.
Okay, let's keep it rolling. Thomas Olson Phillips of Petersburg High School.
Crossing the Bar by Alfred, Lord Tennyson. Sunset and evening star, and one clear call for me, and may there be no moaning of the bar when I put out to sea. But such a tide as moving seems asleep, too full for sound and foam, when that which drew from out the boundless deep turns again home. Twilight and evening bell, and after that the dark, and may there be no sadness of farewell when I embark. For though from out our bourne of time and place the flood may bear me far, I hope to see my pilot face to face when I have crossed the bar.
Kenneth Cheese, Thomas. Addison Cheney of JDHS Homebridge in Juneau.
After the Winter by Claude McKay. Someday, when trees have shed their leaves and against the morning's white, the shivering birds beneath the eaves have sheltered for the night, we'll turn our faces southward, love, toward the summer isle, where bamboos spire the shafted grove and wide-mouthed orchids smile. And we will seek the quiet hill where towers the cotton tree and leaps the laughing crystal rill and works the droning bee. And we will build a cottage there, beside an open glade, with black-ribbed bluebells blowing near and ferns that never fade.
hard was that? After the Winter was the title of that poem. Next, Malachi Grossman of Tenalian School in Port Allsworth.
What Horror to Awake at Night by Laureen Nidecker. What horror to awake at night, and in the dimness see the light. Time is white, mosquitoes bite. I've spent my life on nothing. The thought that stings, how are you nothing, sitting around with something's wife? Buzz and burn is all I learn. I've spent my life on nothing. I'm pillowed and padded, pale and puffing, lifting household stuffing, carpets, dishes, benches, fishes. I've spent my life in nothing.
And our last finalists of recitation this evening, Rayanna Proch of Upstream Learning in Copper River School District.
Sea Fever by John Masefield. I must go down to the seas again, to the lonely sea and the sky. And all I ask is a tall ship and a star to steer her by. And the wheels kick, and the wind song, and the white sails shaking, and a gray mist on the sea's face, and a gray dawn breaking. I must go down to the seas again, for the call of the running tide is a wild call and a clear call that may not be denied. And all I ask is a windy day with the white clouds flying, and the flung spray, and the blown spume, and the seagulls crying. I must go down to the seas again, to the vagrant gypsy life, to the gull's way and the whale's way, where the wind's like a whetted knife. And all I ask is a merry yarn from a laughing fellow rover, and quiet sleep, and a sweet dream when the long trick's over.
Okay, can we have one more round of applause, loud as can be, for all of our state finalists? Okay, before we bring all the students up to the stage and announce our 2025 Poetry Out Loud winner, I do just want to say thank you to all of the parents and families of our state Poetry Out Loud finalists and all Alaska Poetry Out Loud liaisons for 2025, with recognition of the coordinators at the schools represented in the Alaska Regional and State Finals. Elizabeth Alexander of North Pole, Suzanne Bishop and Sarah Boss of Homer, Nicole Metzger of Port Allsworth, Tim Shumway of Petersburg, Andrew and Joy Wang of Fairbanks, Angela Noon and Jeanette Gagnon of Juneau, Kent Fielding of Skagway, Stephanie Foster, Tammy Schneidler, and Adam McKay of Anchorage, and Mark Proch of Copper River School District. Special thanks again to our judging staff, our Alaska Poetry Out Loud state mentors, including Flordelino Lagandino, Frank Delaney, Nami, Trip J. Krause, Donnie Gott, and Dita Devi, the Board of Trustees and staff of the Juneau Arts and Humanities Council, and the Alaska State Council on the Arts. Everybody. Okay, so I would like to invite all of the students to the stage for thanks and applause. Please come on up. And our coordinator, Poetry Out Loud coordinator, Amanda Filori, has certificates and all for everyone, which is fantastic. Should we announce the winner first, or do you want to give the certificates first?
You guys want? We're going to certificates first.
Okay, certificates first. Suspense, everybody, suspense. Let's do it.
All right. So, you guys remember our little plant? I'm gonna put these here, Boston.
Okay.
Okay. Julia, you want to come out here? Give a round of applause for Julia. All right, Nina, come on here. All right, Raiden, come on up here.
Okay, thank you. All right, so without further ado, let's announce the winner of the 2025 Alaska State Poetry Out Loud competition. Let's give it up for Mona Coco! Congratulations, Mona. And congratulations to all of you participants. Those of you who aren't seniors, we'll see you here next year, right? Absolutely. Reminder that Mona will be competing in May, and she has already won a few $100s, and her school has a $500, and she could win up to $20,000. That's pretty great. So, thank you for coming or watching online, and that wraps up our Alaska Poetry State Competition for 2025. Gunath Cheesh from Akwan. Let's hear it one more time for all of our state finalists. Good night, everybody. We did not announce the runner.
The Alaska State Poetry Out Loud competition is made possible by the Alaska State Council on the Arts, the Juneau Arts and Humanities Council, the National Endowment for the Arts, and the Poetry Foundation.